Venezuela in meltdown mode. We actually have a clip on this, and Venezuela's falling apart. We all know it. Let's start with the first clip. Adam.
Thank you, Amy, for having me. It's really great to join you all this morning. I concur with what Professor Sachs was saying. A lot of the policies that we have put in place has kind of helped lead the devastation in Venezuela, and we've sort of set the stage for where we are arriving today. This particular bullying and the use of sanctions to eventually intervene and make regime change really does not help the people of countries like Venezuela, and it certainly does not help, and it's not in the interest of the United States. And I think finally we have folks in Congress that see what Professor Sachs was referencing.
So that was Congressman, I should have set that up. That was actually Congressman Ilhan Omar, who basically was saying the United States is bullying Venezuela, and that's why Venezuela is in the situation that it's in. It's our fault as a country that Venezuela is imploding as a socialist country. Thoughts, guys?
They had a really good GDP for a while, then they spent it all away with the socialist policies, and now look what you have. Super high inflation. I think in a prior episode we talked about how coffee used to be like, what, 2 bolivar, now it's like 800 bolivar to buy one thing of coffee.
And that's the currency in Venezuela.
Yep,
right?
Correct. And there's no food, there's no toiletries unless you're buddy old pals with Maduro. And
you have to go outside of the country now to get it.
Yep.
Right, and you have to buy it in neighboring countries, and so it's creating chaos in the neighboring countries and a supply chain problem as well. Right, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, it just boggles my mind that this is their philosophy, is that America is somehow supposed to be, is the great equalizer, is the stabilizer in the world, and that our policies are the reason other countries' economies are failing. Mm-hmm. Like, you got Venezuela, who is one of the is the oil richest country in the world and should have, a booming economy based on just solely that. I mean, look at Saudi Arabia, right? I mean, they're an oil-rich country and they're doing fine, but it's America's policies that are the reason.
Their fault.
It's not the socialist policies of the country. It's our fault.
And the funny thing is I saw this interview of Bernie Sanders on CNN recently this week, and they were interviewing Bernie Sanders, but in the background, superimposed on CNN on the TV, they had Venezuela imploding, and I thought, well, that's perfect, right? You got Bernie Sanders, the socialist, you got Venezuela behind them. That's the before and after, because that's always the way it works.
I love how Bernie recently, I don't know if you guys have noticed, is Bernie, like some news bits I've been seeing is that they're like really giving him flack over his book deal and how it's like he's like become like this symbol of like capitalism and he hates it. He has to start like every speech now with like, I'm not a criminal. Let's get a lot of money.
I'm not going to give up my $1 million.
I will not apologize.
That was my hard labor.
So we have another clip to respond, for the most part, to lovely Ilhan Omar. Let's hear it about Venezuela.
Venezuela was once the second most prosperous nation in this hemisphere.
Vice President Pence.
And because of dictatorship and oppression and socialism under Nicolas Maduro, now 9 out of 10 people in Venezuela live in poverty. 3 million people have fled the deprivation of that country. My wife and I met with refugees during visits to Colombia, during visits to Brazil. And it's the poverty and suffering in that country at the hands of the dictator Nicolas Maduro is unspeakable.
Yes, that's Vice President Pence saying it the way it is with Venezuela. And that's what we need to hear, because so many folks who, especially millennials, they don't remember a Venezuela that actually was prosperous. They only see the Venezuela of today. And that's why we need to talk about this, because so many millennials think socialism is something that we should try. And they really haven't had life experiences to see the rest of the world throughout the 20th century. And now, of course, in modern times, they don't realize it's socialism that has caused these problems. Guys, thoughts?
History.
Squirrel.
Yep, there you go.
I've said this before, but I don't know like how effective comments. I mean the position from Pence and people that have lived it, like in the baby boomer generation. Like I don't know how effective it is on landing on millennials, because like we haven't experienced it, like right. So it's like everyone wants to try it, and I don't know if we'll get to there, but if I think, if we actually start implementing some of these policies, whether it be on a state basis or national, if Sanders or somebody gets elected into office, I think when the policies are implemented, then we'll see, whether it takes hold or not. But I don't think millennials are like phased by comments like from Pence and things like people.
God,
like
that's so scary.
And to that
scary.
point, we see in millennials also, if we don't agree with you, we just close you off and we're staying in our bubbles. We don't even care what your opinion is, even if you may be right and have a better opinion that may actually inform our own opinions with facts. Nope, we're not going to listen to you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the millennials can pull like an AOC when it comes to gardening. Oh my God, I didn't know that socialism was going to cause this. Oh, wow.
And then here's to the next generation. There's the bag.
I will say, to be fair though, I was watching some of the comments from Omar, and she did talk about I think in the full comment she talked about also she doesn't want U.S. to be involved in regime change. I think that was the point of some of it, and I kind of I think millennials may tend to agree with that because we've we lived through Iraq and exactly
Afghanistan still,
and baby boomers have lived through multiple attempts at U.S. regime change at different occasions. So I agree with it. I'm sure a lot of them.
That's fair. No, that's super fair actually.
Well, Russia's trying to get in there. They sent some military jets, and most of the world has supported Guaido. So we'll see what happens.
And that's the gentleman who actually won the election, who will not. He cannot take power because, of course, Maduro won't concede, right?
And Maduro has military power still because the military guys
Russia and
are.
Cuba and,
yeah.
And China and South Africa, I think, too.
Hey, everybody, this is Mark Fisher with Mark and the Millennials. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.